So the name fraud, again, available on caveofgaia.wordpress.com. Ninja already has it posted up. Thank you very much, Ninja. I recently and synchronistically, remember this was written by Rena. Okay, and there's other great stuff going on right now too. By the way, guys, people sharing their how to live it as a legal name stories, and they're getting rave reviews every time they turn up, and I repost them and messages that I'm getting and whatnot. So keep your stories coming to help others understand what it means to simply let go of the system that you're worshiping. You don't need it. The universe has you. Okay, so here's the name fraud. I recently and synchronistically received a document from a friend I had lost touch with over the last 3 years. Greg attached a PDF document entitled Sire Names. On opening this document, it presents a well-researched history of the names and was printed sometime in the 1860s. It is titled Surnames and Sire Names, the origin and history of certain family and historical names, which remarks on the ancient right of the Crown to sanction and veto the assumption of names, and an historical account of the names Buggy and Bug by James Finlayson. This document, when considered in the context of what we know about the legal name, will, unfortunately for some, burst all the bubbles of the free man and sovereignty movements, where the general consensus is that we have a legal fiction name and a private name, and that somehow and by some process we can access a trust of some sort, and that we as beneficiaries are being denied access to it. There is also a consensus, which I too admittedly believed, as did I and many others, that the correct process could free us from the matrix by rejecting contracts in the fiction name while simultaneously claiming its benefits. Yeah, that works. Not. The fact of the matter is, and the essay title of sorts referenced above will make it abundantly clear that the fiction name is a fraud from the beginning to finish. It will make it clear that you should have nothing to do with this fraud, and that it never had and never will have anything to do with you. Kate of Gaia can genuinely now say, I told you so, and she may even throw you left-brain monkeys for our entertainment. Okay, I told you so, you left-brain monkeys. I'm getting up. Thanks, Rena, you rock. Carrying on. You may also begin to see that any resistance by the courts is feigned resistance to make you believe that there is credence to the free man and sovereignty argument. Just to define that very quickly. If they make you think that there's something good going on, that the free man and the sovereigns are getting victories, look back, they were giving little victories here and there to keep everybody on that trail. And I was laughing at them, going, no, you're still chasing the same carrot. I just stopped chasing the carrot. Just you in the system, searching for a solution, when there is none. If you don't want your bubble burst and you want to continue playing in the matrix, then by all means, stop reading. It is argued in the book referenced above that the ancient right of the Crown and Parliament to grant license and have a prescriptive right to sanction all assumptive surnames before they can be considered legal, and that any such sanction should be carefully considered for its implications from the perspective that a man's name is a man's property, just as much as houses and lands are property. He gives us a detailed historical account of sire names and surnames, their antiquity, purpose, use, and abuse. It is important to understand this, so that you may fully comprehend how you participate in a fraud, which is in some parts of the world punishable by death, which means punishable by death in all parts of the world, seeing as everything is under the bar member association called the Crown Corporation, or party to it. Every time you use a name. Alright, so again, it is important to understand this, so that you may fully comprehend how you participate in a fraud, which was in some parts of the world punishable by death, meaning all parts of the world, every time you use a name that is licensed to someone else, namely the state. First, let's establish some historical facts, then we'll examine the modern use of the name. Hopefully this will serve to create a clearer picture from which you will be able to see the magnitude of the fraud you are participating in when you assume the legal name, including the magnitude of the fraud perpetuated against you by criminals of the highest order. It outlines and points to a well-known fact that every person of any position, even in the most barbarous of ages, has had at least two names. And no, it's not your legal name and your private name. The first being that which the person would be known by among his own family, which is the private name, otherwise known as a home name. In my case, for instance, my family friends know me as Lena. This is a prototype of my Christian name being Irene or Irene. However, as we, quote, come of age, unquote, the turmoils of life, another name would be given either from a personal defect, some characteristic trait, or from circumstances by which one would be known among his own people, a public name. This name became the first and most honored surname of the bearer. This is from Isaiah 14 to 14, verse 4. I, the Lord, have even called thee by that name. I have surnamed thee. We all know what that allegory is about. Anyway, these public names could convey information about both broad genealogical lineage as well as certain individuals' personality or physical characteristics. For instance, Georgiou imbues a child or individual with the lineage having come from a family of landers as farmers, whereas if the same name were preceded with Papa to make the surname Papa's Georgiou, it now describes the same lineage with the additional information being an ancestry of priesthood. So the names were used to describe you and what you did in relation to your family line. I've long talked about the Eaton clan being of the lawmakers and law keepers. Okay? So that's of my lineage, if you will. And, I think I'm known by that. Living up to the family name, I guess, huh? Where are we? Okay, surnames, sire names, and family names were often used in combination to precisely describe the individual in question. Monsieur Aybach deciphered a contract of sale effected in Egypt, which bore the names of the contracting parties, being not only described in the deeds by their proper names, but by a detailed description of their physical peculiarities. That's why he said, do you have any distinguishing marks, birthmarks, tattoos, scars, or whatever? That's to identify you. And if you're still using a legal name, those identifiable marks get added to the legal dead name just to make sure that you're well and truly branded. In commerce, a good name was paramount, in which a good name gave real value to a contract or agreement. If someone was known, let's say, as being less than honorable in their business dealings, they would not have a good name. Therefore, that name would follow them. That's why one is known by their actions and deeds. You might be familiar with what a deed is. It's not only something that we use as a piece of paper to show ownership of something, but it's also because of the deed of the individual, right? The usage of a proper name, or the usage of proper names, was also paramount in recognizing kin. And the same stringent laws were enforced by the Court of Chivalry, or sanctioned by the Earl Marshal's Court, particularly on the occasions of jousts and tournaments, which debarred any person from entering chivalry who had dared to take upon himself the surname of another illegally or without crown sanction or license. You probably happen to remember the movie. I believe it was called, I'll have to dig it up, but it's where the main actor took on there's a patent written by Chaucer, no less, one of his stalwarts and his speaker, to fake his way through the heraldic lines so he could compete in the jousting. And at the end of the movie was discovered. But he was set free by his actions of chivalry anyway. So it was a great allegory to outline this. And I'll see if anyone can remember what that movie is. For the life of me, I can't even remember the young man that was in it. A Knight's Tale. Thank you, Ninja. A Knight's Tale, and I know that it is available at icefilms.info to download. I would urge you to watch that after reading this document. You'll understand a whole lot more of what that allegory is trying to tell you. And you'll notice at the very end, he's also in the stocks, right? Stocks and bonds. Yeah. These are not coincidences. They are coincidences. So, no, it wasn't Sean Connery's son. It was a young man that died of drug overdose. He played the Joker in the last Batman, or the Batman movie he was in. Anyway. Okay. someone please let me know? Heath Ledger. Yeah, obviously I'm unmuted, or you can hear me because you are answering the questions. Heath Ledger. Thank you very much. So A Knight's Tale starring Heath Ledger. Watch it from beginning to end, and we pay attention to the whole, letters of patent and how critically important they are. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, thanks Ninja, thanks Paul, thanks everybody for letting me know you can hear me. Thank you. Alrighty, get back to the sire name front. Not only this, but no knight of France, Scotland, or Spain would demean himself by raising a lance with a man who bore not his lawful name and arms. That's what every cop is doing. Why would you demean yourself by raising a lance with a man who bore not his lawful name and arms? They're just pirates, you see. From these, except, you see what's happening now, though, is the true ones, like the sergeant in the UK, we're the ones empowering the protection around these individuals. I am smiling like a Cheshire cat with this stuff, because I know exactly what's going on. If you can't see it, you're blind, but it's all good. Be blind. It's bigger excitement when you go, oh my God! Anyway, not only this, but no knight of France, Scotland, or Spain would demean himself by raising a lance with a man who bore not his lawful name and arms. From these instances of fact, the writings in the book referenced above conclude to prove that this usage was established and recognized by the king in the year, 1106. A mere, 40 years from 1066. Interesting. That's what I thought too. Battle of Hastings. Haste makes waste, boys and girls. Hastings, Tree of Life stings is more like it. Oh, it's in the phonics too. Anyway, in matters of honor, a name served to remind people with perfect accuracy of detail of the various events which had led either to a firm alliance or to a deadly enmity between two tribes. Such was the influence of their recollections, that two warrior chiefs who chanced to meet in battle would conceal their names, lest they should be suggestive of some common tie of kin or friendship, which might furnish an excuse for avoiding the encounter. This happened many times during the Civil War in the United States. But they murdered each other anyway, morons. Anyway, a still more honorable fear dictated a rule, that no stranger who claimed hospitality should be asked his name before the expiration, pay attention, of 3 whole days. Sound familiar to anybody that's been through this? This is why we needed to understand the whole legal, lawful fiction world, so that we could see the anagogics play out. So none of it is wasted, nothing. You haven't done anything wrong. You just got to learn to see it from the contrast that makes you right. And the fact that you know these things, well, look at that. It was absolutely useless in the real world sense, but it's, wait a minute, it's pure power in the anagogic or the spiritual world sense once you understand it. For 3 whole days, couldn't ask his name before the expiration of 3 whole days. Typical, they will only hold someone, of course, and give you hospitality, complete with a bed, a jail cell, and food. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And then they're going to ask you your name again. That's why they held people longer, right? And typically the ones they hold longer were actually real criminals. The universe knew that. Why were some people let go and others held? Well, there's something more to that than meets the eye. I can't answer that. Only the individual involved can. So, and that's not a make right or a make wrong. That's just merely an observation. So let's buckle this system once and for all, shall we? Anyway, under the pain of the most, here I'll read this all again. A still more honorable fear dictated a rule that no stranger who claimed hospitality should be asked his name before the expiration of 3 whole days, under pain of the most severe punishment the law could inflict. The mere fact that you get asked your name by a cop right out of the gate is under pain of the most severe punishment the law could inflict, which is pretty much all of it. During that time, all hereditary hatred that a name might rekindle had to lie dormant. During that time, the generous hospitality had to take the place of a thirst for revenge. Basically give you time to get over it. The most notable instance is that of the exchange of the name of Bug for Howard. Mr. Bug could not have been aware of the origin of his name, for if he had been, he might have exchanged it for one out of many to which he had undoubted right, without infringing, as he clearly had done, upon the property of a noble house, for a man's name is a man's property, just as much as houses and lands are property. There are 3 crowns, the crown of the law, the crown of the priesthood, and the crown of royalty. You getting this, guys? Your triple crown? DC, Rome, London? But the crown of a good name is superior to them all. That's out of the Talmud. Okay? So this is where you put your crown of Thor, right? Your crow end of Thor ends on. Your authority. Authority. Okay? Alright, here we go. The idea that a man may assume what surname and as many surnames as he pleases is erroneous, where to effect that change is a confession of wrong in the event that it is not ancestral. In our times, a man can change his name indiscriminately and at any time for any reason by simply making an application and paying the appropriate fee. This should, in the very least, raise alarm as to why the free trade of name changes are bordering on the prostitution of names, a far cry from times past. Anyone wants to change their name today legally can do it, and they can pick whatever name they want. So they're going to be trespassing on a family bloodline by doing so. So there's another reason. Well, why don't I just change my name legally, Kate? Well, one, you'd be an idiot because you still don't know who you are, thinking you need a legal name. And two, well, there it is. It's criminal trespass on hereditary bloodlines. And don't worry, the universe knows that. You might want to do a little research before you do this shit. You know, ignorance of the laws and defense from it. Okay. So the illegal, unsanctioned assumption of names was not even tolerated in the days of Shakespeare, where in the play, Taming of the Shrew, he says, Petruchio. Why? How now, gentlemen? Why this is flat knavery, to take upon him another man's name? It was further held to be unlawful to assume that a name that was unsanctioned or illegal for the purpose of protecting a good name. As soon as a woman had become the mere toy of public debauchery, it was enacted by law that she should change her name. It was taken for granted that she had only been reduced to such state of disgrace by some kind of force, and was not thought right that she should prostitute both her person and the name which allied her to some honorable family. Today, most people assume that the birth of a living child is a registrable event. The birth is